Thank you for listening to Just Cause on xsiteradio.com, KXSR. We'll see you next week.
Waiting for you to enjoy and be amazed. Mr. And Lou, what's new?
Oh, yeah. It is another Monday, a brand new week here on the Daily Scratch, and I've got some great stuff coming up for you this week. Later on this week, we are going to be talking about how to attract money. That'll be on Tuesday. Today in the studio with me, I have one of the most accomplished percussionists, recently won a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work, a man who's worked with a lot of great musicians and has recorded with a lot of great musicians, Mr. Victor Orlando. How you doing, Victor?
Hey, I'm doing great, Andrew. Doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. I'm really happy to have you in the studio. We've got some music from Victor. I'm going to start it off with the first track on his album, Argentina. It is the title track. And we're going to check that out. And then we'll come back and talk to Victor about what he's doing, give you a taste of what he's done, and then we'll get into even more. Here it is, Victor Orlando, Argentina. Check it out. Yeah, Argentia is the name of that one. And go ahead and give us the story behind that, because as we were listening to it, you gave me an interesting story. I want you to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, Argentia is a story about a girl named Tia from Argentina. So I just actually put the two together. But it's an awesome song. It brings out the Latin blood that's in me, the Victor Orlando. And everybody likes it. And I happened to nab one of the greatest vocalists in the business to sing on it, Alex Lidgetwood. Formerly from Santana. You can hear him on all of the Santana hits back in the day.
Yeah.
Alex Lidgetwood. So he's a good buddy of mine, and he said, sure. And the way he sounds and sings on this, you would not believe he was from Scotland. He's Scottish, man.
I did
He's
not
Scottish,
know
like.
that. And I know he's been on everything from
He's been
Santana.
on
He's the main vocalist for Santana.
Yes, him and Greg Walker were the
Yeah.
two guys that were the main vocalists for over 25, 30 years almost. And Alex is, we do the Santana tribute show, and Alex comes and sings with us, or Greg sings with us, and said, man, I'm doing this song, and I wrote it for either you or Mark Anthony. That's the voice I hear. I hear voices in my head.
right. I understand. That makes sense. Right. I'm a songwriter. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and Alex said, okay, first. And the rest was cool. And after it was done, put it up on my company, musicsupervisors.com, and I got a text one day, and it was in a movie. So the movie is called For the Love of Money, with James Caan, Paul Sorvino, gangster mafia type movie. Mm-hmm. And as the scene progresses to Miami, soon as it goes to Miami, up pops the percussion solo, which Miami congas the whole Latin sound. Up pops the percussion solo, and it plays to the end of the song, about 1 minute and 35 seconds. Great length of time. It's not just in there and out. It's in there with the scene.
Right.
And I was very happy for that. That was very cool.
Yeah. And you didn't know until, how did you find out about it? They just they put it in there, the film was made, and then someone saw it and texted you?
No, it's close. I mean, I follow a money trail. I'm poor and broke. So whenever there's a dime out there, I'm sniffing it out. And I happen to go online, emails, and music supervisors, somebody just heard one of your songs. I said, okay, let me go by and see who heard a song, because there's 3 steps. They look at the list, and then they get a group of people in to listen to the songs that they want for their movie. And then they'll sit around and talk about it, and then they'll buy it. And this company, we do a 50-50 thing. They do the work of getting it to these people, and then I just sit back and have the songs up. So I happened to be going by, and I went on the site, and it showed, looked at, heard, and bought. I was like, and bought. And I ran up to scrolled up there, and it said, bought, $1,000, bought. I was like, and nobody told me?
Yeah, where's the money?
If I hadn't just been floating by that day.
Who did they pay?
They paid Lionsgate, which was the company. Lionsgate paid them, and my money was just sitting there. No notice, no. Oh, I was hot. And I called them and said, what is wrong with you guys? We're just getting a new program in, and we're trying to let everybody know about this stuff. It's like, okay, we'll get your check out in 2 to 3 weeks. I said, no. You will give me your address, and I will be in the car and be at Burbank in 15 minutes. And they did, and I went over, and they were apologizing up to Wazoo, and I was like, dude, you can't do this.
Yeah, no.
So,
no,
it's a no, not with people's money and business. But I took the little messed up business and said, okay, that's the business. I put it aside. I'm happy it's in a movie. It was an A movie for a minute. It was out. They showed it in the theaters, but it's a B type script. It just didn't go over like the mafia gangster movies that Scarface and all those. Similar. A guy from Israel in the mafia came over to the States, made it big, wanted to get out of the mafia because he was making it big in real estate, but couldn't. They were not going to let him go. Mm-hmm. And the word was they paid $400,000 for James Caan to be in it, and he just paid to make this movie, and it went, and then it just simmered down. But it's in Israel, so basically I have 2 sets of royalties: the States and overseas royalties.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay. I mean, the movie's okay. It's not like a straight to DVD, and you'll never see it and find it for $1.
Right. It was out for a minute.
It was out for a minute. Yeah.
That's so cool, though. Hey, let's check out another one of your tracks. I really liked this one. I got some funk, and it is super cool. Super funk. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
I just for those of you who are regular listeners, it's Stevie Hawkins, one of my favorite bands that I play here all the time, is the one that turned me on to Victor Orlando, and he's got some awesome funk too.
Yes, he
does. And you've worked with him also. You've played with him.
Yeah. We did the LA. He won an award at the LA Music Awards this past year in November, and I was tributed to get the Lifetime Achievement Awards.
Right.
And a first for a Lifetime Achievement Award recipient to even play with any of the artists on the show, and we opened up the show. Stevie, myself, and the keyboard player.
I wish I would have been there.
It was exciting. I think there is some footage of it on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
I was there the year before,
Mm.
or maybe it was at the nominations. that I was
At the
there.
Whiskey or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then something came up when that happened. Stevie invited me, but I couldn't make it. I was like so disappointed because I love to see Stevie play every time he comes.
He's awesome.
amazing.
He's the nicest guy. He plays awesome. We clicked from second one.
Well, he clicks like that with everyone, I think.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
Right.
You can't help but like him.
Right. And then we started playing, and then it just like it's magic. It's magic.
He's an incredible musician.
Yeah, he is.
All right, I got some funk. This is by Victor Orlando. Let's check it out.
I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. Every time I hear that news on the radio, I ask all my homies, they wouldn't seem to know. But then one day, I asked this old man, what was all that growling about? He just laughed and said to me, they had some funk stuck in the throat, and they can't come out. They had some funk stuck in the throat, and they can't come out. They had some funk stuck in the throat, and they can't come out. They had some funk stuck in the throat, and they can't come out. Think for me one time. Now that I'm older, a little bit older now, and I'm singing in a band, I dig deep inside of me, and I find another man. They call this music old school, but that's alright by me. Before I sing these words, that old man said to me, I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. Yes. Good God, good time. my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat, and it can't come out. I got some funk stuck in my throat.
Tell you, youngster, that you listen to me now, won't you?
Are you alive, Victor? That thing is funky. Good God.
Yeah, that is funky. I love it. So, Victor, one of the things that I love about your music and this album in general is that it is very diverse. You've kind of got music for every mood on here, but more than that, it's robust and complex, and still at the same time accessible. I think by everybody. I think that one of the things that a lot of musicians and music in general today, the popular musicians, lack is a sense of real technical know-how. Literally just playing some bar chords and, running some, if they might know scales, but they're not doing anything with them.
Right. No more creativity to it. Just cookie cutter stuff.
Right. What is your background? How did you develop such an amazing ear for tasteful complexity?
Wow, never heard it like that. I love music. Always have for as long as I know. But my original influences, of course, and weirdly, I'm African American with Spanish, Latino, Puerto Rican background out of Dallas, Texas. But the Beatles, crazy. Love the sound, love what they were doing with it. And then I ventured into the crazy world of rock and roll. My favorites, Elton John, Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper, Led Zeppelin. And he's like, Vic, you don't like Temptation, James Brown? No, those guys are okay, they're all right, but these guys are exhibiting energy. They're playing great music. They're jumping around. Nobody's standing still looking cute and trying to catch women. They are playing. And that was my ear. And then later, I turned to the African American musicians. I'm like, oh, stylistics. Those guys, they got harmonies. Temptation, you got 4 or 5 harmonies. Harmonies sound good. Three Dog Night was my favorite. And now there are 2 dogs and 1 puppy, and 1 puppy and 2 dogs because they broke up. I want to see all my dogs play.
I love Three Dog Night. Grew up on their music, and then my younger brother became close friends with the son of Jesse Alsop. No, that's the son's name. Mike Alsop.
Right.
Mike Alsop.
The guitar player.
The guitar player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Now that's like, no, those guys were great. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. That's the kind of music I listen to, and the harmonies. And then when I switched over and started listening to the stylistics, Delphonics, Temptations, and okay, they got the same kind of great harmony. Okay, then I started appreciating. I mean, because they were into more just steps and looking good and outfits and suits and the harmonies, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but these guys are killing with some energy.
Right.
And then, Woodstock came out, and that was it. That pretty much was it for me. 10 years after, Joe Cocker, Santana, Jimmy, Sly, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young with the harmonies. That's where the diverse thing came. You sit 10 people down and ask them to name the groups, or as many groups as they can, from Woodstock, which was about the most diverse movie that ever came out about musicians. And they may say Jimmy, they may say Sly, or whatever, but they don't. I listened and loved each one of them, got something from each one of them, and that's the way I've been listening to music all my life. So when it's time to do stuff or play with people, call me up. I can play Bollywood. Call me up. I can play blues. Call me up. I can play Latin. Call me up. I can. So I've listened to enough of it to know exactly what people are doing. I add my touch, and then I can play with anybody.
What's happened to the music scene? You're somebody who's been very involved in the professional music scene, in the industry. What's happened it seems like they're dumbing down the music, and it's hard to find on popular radio. Not that it's not out there, obviously, but on popular radio, it's hard to find anything really intelligent. It's as though most songs are kind of insultingly done. They're dumbed down, overly simplified.
Right.
What do you think has happened to the industry? Why has it become that way?
There's no more policing of what goes out there. There's one guy sitting up figuring money and music and get the dumbest musicians you can get, and we can get the money. Because thank God to your station, for your stations and stations like yours, they're playing the smart musicians. That it's not about the money as much as it's about the art of music. And, you know, maybe we'll see the light of day again one day, but at least it's getting heard to people. People are listening to it. But the so-called man in the ivory tower is just, you know, let's go in, cookie cut me this song, and I'll put $50 into it and try to make $150. And to heck with who I step on as I'm doing it. And I'll keep shoving it down their throats until everybody keeps buying it. Then when I've made mine back, I'll move to the next song. And don't let a good musician come along and want to change something. They'll close the door on them and get the next person in line. And that's been pretty much a lot of, because it's just a lot of us, a lot of musicians.
One of the things, I had a gentleman who was a producer in the industry come on my show. His name was Miles Grayson, I believe his last name was. And he was saying that no matter what, we know what sells. You know, I have the ear for it. I know when it's got that something, and I pick winners based on what's going to sell, and that's why, and that a simple package is going to sell to more people. But in the 60s and the 70s, that wasn't the package at all. Even in the 50s, I think it was more complex, and your musicianship was higher for those that were actually performing. I just find that interesting. I'm kind of frustrated, I think, a lot lately with mainstream, and that's why we do this station, is to get some really good music out and on the airwaves. So, speaking of good music, let's move on to another one. I want to show you a little bit of his range, and I think it was the ballad was Surgeonetti.
No, I Think About You.
I Think About You. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to play a little ballad for you, and this is a very beautiful song, and we'll be right back. This is Victor Orlando, I Think About You. Check it out.
When I consider all those things that make me happy, I think about you. When I consider all those things that make me sad, I think about you. I think about you. I think about you. When I consider all those things, I think about you. I think about you. I think about you. When I consider all those things, I think about you. There was a moment in my life when I was happy. I thought I'd spend my whole life with you. You were my love and my daily inspiration, and all the things that I could dream would come true. I think about you. I think about you. When I consider all those things, I think about you.
All right. I Think About You by Victor Orlando. We've got Victor here in the studio with us today. And Victor, now you've got a lot of amazing musicians playing on this album. Let's talk about that. Tell me who all is on this album and their background.
Well, on this album, of course, I've been in the business a while, and I called upon friends. Said, I'm paying them, so it came out of my pocket, but it wasn't what you do if you go down to the Musicians Union and cut somebody's album.
Right.
Or go to Capitol and set up a contract. So I got, from the Gap Band, so I got Robert Wilson to play for me, bass player, Charlie Wilson's brother. That last single was done by Wendy Barnes from Julio Iglesias' band. She was the singer behind Julio. And Stevie Wonder. She used to be in Wonder Love, Stevie Wonder's background group. I got Alex Lidgerwood, like I said, from Santana. I got one of the Wilson brothers of another Wilson family, Lou Wilson, from the group Mandrill, to play percussion. Mandrill was the 70s world-type music band.
Okay.
And they had great hits out like Fence Walk, Hang Loose, that type of sound, a lot of horns, a lot of percussion type sounds.
I probably like it then.
Yeah,
I love horns.
Mandrill is awesome. I used to listen to in my eclectic days Mandrill and Osabisa from South Africa, Mandrill from Panama, and those guys are just awesome. And one night I was at BB King's back in the day at Universal City Walk, and they were playing. I was like in awe because we used to play their music as kids. And as you know, growing up, would play their stuff, horns and the percussion and the whole thing. Guy calls me up to play with them, and they play Fence Walk, and I'm just sitting there just beaming like I don't know what, playing with the group that I grew up liking.
Yeah.
And so we stayed friends, and later he called me up. I said, yeah, I'm in the studio. What do you want me to do? I said, well, I'll come in, I'll play for you for your birthday, a gift from me. End up coming in and playing for me as a birthday gift.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got
What an honor.
called in a lot of my friends to come through and actually, help out and make this a quality album.
Yeah. It
Quality.
definitely is. The musicianship is top notch on
Yeah.
this album.
Some people, a person told me once when they put this on and turned it up, cranked it up, it was like a live band busting through the speakers. And I'm like, wow, I wasn't thinking of that when I did it, as opposed to putting some tracks on that people did and digitally did it. It's a different feel when
Right.
a person hears the music coming back at them. When you hear horns, percussion, vocals, background, the whole nine coming, and it's coming at a 10, well, that's some power.
Yeah, it is. It is. I love the sound of horns and lots of percussion. That's something about that when it's just really that in your face, that bass is right up in your face, and everything is just being like accented with horns and something about it. I love. What would you say is your favorite track off the album?
Well, I guess it would be the combo, Argentina and Funk Stuck in Your Throat, the two top tracks. But they're all, it's hard. They're all my babies. It's like
Right.
a person with 9 kids, and you say, what's your favorite? Maybe the first one that came out, but the rest of them are just as still,
Yeah.
But and it's amazing. I still wonder, how did I write all of these songs?
Right.
I didn't do it. I mean, God inspired me to write these songs.
It kind of comes out of nowhere, doesn't it?
It comes, tap on the shoulder in the middle of the night and you can't sleep. You got to get up and find a pen and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And go with it.
Yeah.
But to go in that many different directions, and that still, it baffles me sometimes when I sit and listen. I'm like, wow.
So you just recently got a Lifetime Achievement Award. Tell us about your lifetime achievements. What were like the top things that happened to you that come to your mind? Why do you feel you earned that award?
I just thank God I was blessed that somebody noticed what I was doing, and I do this for the love of what I do, play percussion and enjoy it, and then let everything else kind of heap on and pile on afterwards. And this guy came in and saw me playing, and he was amazed and astounded and said, I run the Los Angeles Music Awards, and I give out awards to deserving independent artists for what they do. Of course, after he looks into the background and see that it's not an overnight type thing, or you were in the closet doing it. And he said, I'm not even going to run it by the board. You're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award for percussion. And that basically made me feel good that I've been playing percussion over 42 years. And with the number of people that I have been, and on the number of tracks that I have been of different artists of different flavors, and somebody sees it and recognizes it. I mean, there's a lot of red tape and craziness and this, that, and the other to go with the Grammys, American Music Awards, to get acknowledgments for those situations. And for somebody to just say, hey, I do this, I'm give you this, and it's the same to me. What it is recognition of what you do, be it a Grammy or be it your radio station somebody contacted you, and it's like, okay, let's have him. I'd be sitting at home writing or on the computer working, but you wanted to share what I do with other people. He wanted to share that with other people and give me something in return for it, which was very, very beautiful, and I appreciated it. But it's just been the lifetime of working with different people, from home in Dallas, and then coming out here and getting with the Buddy Miles. I played with Buddy Miles and didn't even know who I was playing with. Didn't know it was, you mean Buddy Miles, Jimi Hendrix, Billy Cox, Buddy Miles. Oh my goodness, that Buddy Miles.
Right.
And so that was, as you say, some of the biggest things that were eye openers. Now, not then. Then things were just a regular, everyday routine type thing for me. Just hustling, grinding, doing what I do. Now you look back at them. The song Outstanding from the Gap Band, I'm playing bongos on. It's an over 35-year-ago song. Right. Charlie Wilson calls me up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, man, we need some bongos on this song. I have to wake up, get in the car, and go to the studio. Okay, did it, played it, went back home, got back into bed. Today, 10 to 15 rap artists and other artists have sampled just what I woke up at 2 o'clock to go and put on.
Right.
That amazes me.
Right. And you've not only worked with some older bands, but you've worked with some newer people. LL Cool J, did you?
Yeah, I did LL's thing. That story was so funny. I do regular work too if I need to, when I do. So I was working at a donut shop, graveyard shift, cashier at a donut shop. Little guy would make them, I'd sell them. What I didn't sell, I'd take home. But my niece called me. I was staying with my aunt and my sister-in-law, and my niece called me and said, Victor, some guy called you. They want you to come and audition for this group. I said, y'all stop playing with me. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. No, he just called. They said they need you at 12 o'clock at the studio to audition. I said, some guy named LL Cool J. I said, okay, I know you're messing with me now, because my nieces were young. And Uncle Victor, no, we're serious. I said, all right, whatever. So I got my dozen donuts, went to the house, loaded up the car. Y'all better not be playing with me. So I went out to Third Encore out here in the Valley, and there is a room full of people. And some people were auditioning. And later I found out the word came down from LA, we need a percussionist, and my name was thrown in the hat from the other musicians that were there. Thank God that people remember and recognize and notice. Right. And I went out and auditioned, and that was it. I was on the Mama Said Knock You Out tour with a 10-piece band with LL.
Wow, so you went the whole tour with them.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That was awesome, yeah. To go from the music that I do, now I'm on the rap scene.
Yeah, you're all over the map.
The rap scene.
You're all over the map. You're just,
wow.
You do it all.
Yeah. You learn how to, over a period of time, you learn how much to play or how little to play with whoever you're playing with.
Right.
So you know, I can't go in playing Santana type licks on rap.
Right.
And you can't go in playing ballad type stuff on Santana stuff.
Right.
It just doesn't mix. So you have to know and learn what goes where and when to put it.
Yeah, you have to listen for the styles. You have to listen to a lot of music.
You have to. When you asked me earlier, that's the key. I've listened to a lot of music, and right now I don't listen to hardly any music. I'm not putting myself above nobody, but it's just unworthy to even listen to. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Maybe 1 or 2 nice hits will slip through the cracks, but
there's not much out there.
You wouldn't believe. I keep a 24. I have a case in my car with 24 cassettes of Santana. My car has a cassette player. I pop a cassette of Santana in whenever it gets ugly on the radio.
That happens a lot. I bet you listen to those tapes a lot.
Yeah, we just went up to Fresno and popped it in. I was like, my girl was like, "What is that?" I said, "That's Batuka from Santana." And I used to do DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to do DJ too.
Yeah, I love the selection that we have here at the studio because it is different and it's we do have plenty of submissions that are radio friendly. Mm-hmm. Let's call it that for a lack of a more vicious term. But there is so much that we have here that is absolutely unique, that is very intriguing to listen to. We have a band called You Bred Raptors, and it's a guy with an 8-string bass and a celloist and a drummer who also plays glockenspiel. And that's it. There's no guitarist, but you listen to it and you think there is a guitarist because the 8-string bass is playing up high and down low and all over and doing tapping and all this. And it's absolutely out of this world. I mean, it's amazing, unique, different music, and they just play the subways of New York, and that's all. That's it. I mean, they play some parties or whatnot. I mean, they're not huge. They're not known. They should be. Right. They should be, because what they're doing is incredible, and a lot of their work is perfect for film. Especially, maybe horrors or intense sequences, just because they kind of have a dark sound. But at the same time, they can get very light and airy and almost, with the glockenspiels and all that, whimsical-ish. So it has that, and they get kind of rocky too. So they have this they've got this very distinct sound, and yet that sound expresses itself in so many ways. It's not like just what was that? There used to be a band with a bass player and a drummer and a saxophone player. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. And everything they did sounded the same. It was a really cool sound, but everything they did there sounded the same. Right. And these guys aren't like that. Right. It's the first album. I was like, wow. Their second album, I went, wait, where are you going? Right. You know what I mean? Right. And it was cool. I mean, it was but it was a very different, they went a totally different direction. So. Right.
Well, that's what happened with my CD. It's like, okay, you start off with the Latin tunes, and now he went fun. Where's he go? Oh, now he's got Middle Eastern. Where's he going? And I've only had one, and I won't even call it a bad review. I've only had one not positive, negative saying about my CD. A broker, brokers are guys that get your stuff and they put you on shows, or they they broker you a deal to open up for people of this, that, and the other, different acts. So he's a broker out of New York, and well, Victor, I like your CD, but can you give us a little more of just the Latin stuff? And we don't, the rest of the. Why don't you go back in and cut a whole Latin. When you give me the budget, I'll go back in and cut it. But I've cut what I'm going to cut, right? And that's what I'm doing. If you either want that or you don't. But he's, go back. It's too much. I don't know. You're all over the place. I don't know where you're going. Well, then you sit where you sit, and I'll let the other people take the ride. And I don't need it. Yeah. The album was made for everybody of different everything to enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, especially with Excite Radio. In the beginning, we used to have it was just like everything, multi-genre, and you would have just one style up against some totally clashing style against, and listening to it that way started to spark your interest in things you'd never heard before, you would never listen to. Right. And I think that really opened up my mind to a lot of different, things that I wouldn't necessarily have given them a chance if I had given them like the 30-second run through of their song. Right, exactly. And it can be very jarring at times, but with your album, obviously there's a cohesion. I don't listen to your album and think you're all over the place. But that's because I've heard this this kind of a marriage before, because I've listened to Santana and, other musicians. And this is the kind of stuff I love where, you're not staying with one style. You're expressing yourself in multiple different ways. One of my favorite bands is Los Lobos. One of my favorite albums, Kiko. That album is technically all over the place, and yet it's perfect in and of itself.
Right.
Like, missing any song, it wouldn't be that album. Take just one song away, and it wouldn't be half the album it is. And I think that's the way your album stacks up too. I think it really shows off everything you're doing.
What it did, if you take it, and the album is Victor, you did an album. Oh man, it's gonna be percussion all over the place. No, it's not. It's gonna be a percussion thread woven into every other kind of music there is.
Right.
And that's what Carlos does on his albums. He's a guitar player with the Carlos Santana sound, but on the Supernatural album, it was woven into each different song.
Right.
And that's how you get that like you said about the other group, the bass, sax, and drummer.
Right.
There was those three pieces, and that was those three pieces woven, and you heard that over and over and over. I'm a percussion player, and where you would think you would hear nothing but percussion, the percussion sound changed each song.
Right.
May have been little, may have been a lot, may have been middle, but it was different, and so you would never get bored with. Man, I like the song, but man, you played so much percussion, and you just played on the last track.
Yeah.
But
after a while, you don't want the whole album to sound like.
Exactly. But I ended, because of the purists, I did put 2 percussion tracks on there. Well, I cut one percussion track. We were having so much fun. We looked up. Oh, this track is 22 minutes. Oh my goodness, my bad. Why you didn't say cut or stop?
Because there's
so
no
we
reason
cut
to.
the track and did 11 minutes and a 9-minute, I think.
So it's 2 tracks.
2 tracks.
You made 2 tracks out of one.
Exactly.
I'm glad you kept it all.
Changed the name of the second track.
That's right.
But kept it interlocked with the first track of what we did. One was called Marketplace. The other one's called Return from the Marketplace.
I think a big mistake that a lot of musicians do make is to go, oh, this shouldn't be this long. I mean, maybe it should. Maybe you're right. Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe if you've got nothing interesting going on and you're just repeating yourself over and over again. But if something's happening, if something happens between here and there, and you have this evolution, why not make a 22-minute song?
Right. Well, if you go to Amoeba and pull records from late 69, 68, 69 through 75 of a lot of different groups, just their songs were 8 to 11 minutes per. You'd get maybe 3 tracks on one side of an album.
Yeah.
And because they were, and it was all saying something. It was all, you'd sit there and listen to the whole thing. City, Country City from War was along Sly's that tune, just it started there and it went places. Herbie Hancock's Chameleon.
Yep.
Once the song was over, he went into it went somewhere else after the song was over.
Right.
It's like when you feel it and when you got it, do it. And it'll make sense, yeah. And like you said, some of the musicians, oh no, that's too long, that's too loud, that's too. 2 is nothing. There's no mistakes in it if it works.
Right.
There's no mistakes. Even your mistakes, if it works, was not a mistake anymore.
Exactly.
Perfect example. My Argentina, because I did this all myself until I got other producers. My Argentina does not have the customary Latin 3/2 clave. Because I'm cutting, I'm producing, I'm getting money together, I'm doing everything, and I forgot my roots. This is a 3/2 clave song, in a traditional sense. I cut it in 2/3. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. I let a Latin guy hear it. Hey, Vic, know that song's not in 3/2, don't you?
Of course. There's always one.
Right. I said, yeah, but you know what? I was trying to put 2/3 with 3/2 and combine it and get 5/4 and make it. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I said, man, I know, but it worked. It was a mistake. It worked, and nobody knows.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing with music. Music theory is just that, a theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I study econometry, which is a science, but that's a different story. But I think that one of the things with music is that a lot of it is there are some rules.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There are some rules. There are
and
boundaries.
guidelines.
But knowing how, when, and where to break those rules, I think that becomes a matter of taste a lot of times, I think. And, you know, friends always ask me, you know, because I mix a lot, you know, I've done a lot of mixing, engineering, and that kind of stuff. And friends always ask, you know, how do you know where to put things in the mix? How do you know how loud this should be or that should be? And I just go, what sounds good to me? You know, I've mixed for, you know, thousands of hours. So, you know, I've done work for Sony. And the longer you do it, the longer you listen, the more it just becomes what you do. You know, you can't really put a finger on it. It's just, this needs to be up just slightly more. No, that's too much.
You know exactly when.
You know exactly when. I want to listen to your which were the percussion tracks, the one that you cut in half.
That's Marketplace.
Market
Walk. I'm sorry.
Market Walk.
Yeah, and it's us having fun. But the theme of it, well, when I cut it, it was originally going to be something else. I mean, I changed creativity, thoughts like I change underwear. It's changed. The next day it's changed, the next second. And I went in with one thought and started and left it where it was, and there it was. As I said, a mistake or something else turned into something else. So as we were doing it, my mental went, okay, Market Walk, drums, percussion, Africa, sound. To picture yourself walking through an African diaspora, shopping, buying stuff from the side of the marketplace. And as you're walking through the shopping, you hear these drums in the distance. And you're walking down there, and there at the end of this runway from you shopping in the marketplace is drums. It's drummers sitting there playing. And after we did it for 22 minutes, I said, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, well, now you're on your way back to your car. Return from Market Walk.
Right.
So that was what I did, but that was the whole mental of it, is if you hear it, you know, playing.
All right. This is Market Walk by Victor Orlando. Check it out. Yeah. So we're just sitting here chatting while this whole track is playing. You were just saying you before you got into rock, you were a jazz drummer. Your roots are in jazz, obviously.
Yeah, that's you listen to everything, but I was listening to Art Blakely, Jazz Messengers, Idris Muhammad, all the jazz heads, the jazz greats, and where they were going and what they were doing, the Willie Bobos and all of that, and so it rounded me out. The whole thing with me playing and other percussionists, music is a picture. It's like Picasso stuff, and the pictures are, when you go in the studio, the picture from the artist is already drawn. It's already drawn and it's put on the wall. Your job is to come in and paint.
Yeah.
And if you're a good painter, you're gonna bring that picture to life. And if they don't add any percussion, then this picture's just a picture. It's up there and it's gonna go as it is for what it's for. But how you move up the ranks of percussionists, more than anything, and percussion, horns, background vocals, they're all people that add to that picture.
No, they're adding the color. Really.
They're adding the color, but the percussionist really adds the color and flavor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go in and put a tambourine on one picture, but that's the flavor for that song. A blues song, you don't get that much percussion in a blues song, but you throw a tambourine on it, it's got something that, kind of makes you shake and swing.
Right.
But you go in and you throw a little cayenne and a little salsa, and all of a sudden your congas have turned this pitch into a salsa or a Latin song. That Latin flavor from the percussionists. So we take every artist's picture and we add to that, and that becomes what we do. And it gives you the spectrum of percussionists. Okay, oh wow, this guy put a this, that, and the other on that. He doesn't kind of know. He hasn't listened to enough to know what to put in this. And then my thing is, when I go in and I listen to the track once, maybe, I know pretty much exactly what's needed to be in there.
Right.
And the producers always, well, what do you hear? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you hear? And then when I get through, it's like, okay, what do you want? Oh, we don't want anything. You've done it all. I used to get a little crazy title, one take Orlando.
Yeah.
It's like, just run the track, because whatever I might do might be actually it. Because I'm going to play it exactly the way I feel it the first time before you get in and start, well, too much of that, we're going to, not too much of that. Can you play more simpler? Doom, doom, doom. I can't get any more simpler than that.
One of my favorite bands for a long time was a band called Mo, and they're a jam band. I love jam bands because they do something different every show, and I'm into that. And they got a percussionist, and they've kept this percussionist, and it has completely ruined them for me. Because he overplays everything, and he's just always in the mix when he shouldn't be.
Busy, over busy, playing.
He puts in all kinds of glockenspiel or what xylophones or whatever, but like to excess, and it really ruins it for me. And I think that that's the difference between a really good percussionist and somebody who can play percussion.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's once you listen to enough people and hear what they're doing and hear, like I said, you can be the busiest cat in the world playing, but if you know there's still rules to and guidelines to a song, then you'll say, okay, I even police my own self.
That's okay. That happens all the time.
It happens all the time. Even in Argentina.
We're dog-friendly stations. So.
Dog-friendly. Woof, woof.
Go ahead.
Even in Argentina, I played all the percussion, and at one point I thought I was doing way too much until they mixed it, and I was like, that works. I can't play it all on the same show. Right. Because I'm playing 3, 4, 5 different parts. But at first I thought I was playing too much, and then it worked out perfect.
Yeah, and that's something else that a lot of times it does come down to the mix.
Yeah.
Something as innocuous as a shaker can either ruin or make a track.
Exactly.
It can be played the exact same way, but because of where it is in the mix, it's too much in your face, ruins the track.
Right.
Well,
I'll take it. I say that's not on me. That's on you.
That's
You're the one can pull the track, pull it up and down. And it's so weird. Sometimes I go in with the younger guys and the less budgeted people. I'll go in and do a shaker. All right, that's enough. We got it. And then they put it where they want to.
Right.
Just that's the end of that's the it for me. Or with the tambourine, do 4 bars of that. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they put those things where they want it. But back in the day, hand claps was like an hour and a half, 2-hour track. Hand claps. Hand claps, this executive producer would find a hallway with a nice echo and a all right, all the way through the song, 7-minute song. All right, we're gonna double that. Want to make a fat hand clap? Why you didn't get a fat person in there to clap? Shoot, 4 hours for 2 tracks of hand claps.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But that you can kind of feel that, but just to sit up and clave, tink, 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 tink. All right, we're gonna go back and we're gonna fatten it. We're gonna do the same thing. Don't you have some switches in there that can just make that be double?
Well, and I think there is something about you can take the track and double it, especially nowadays. Just make a copy of it and then scoot it over just slightly. But I think that it still loses some of that humanization.
Oh yeah.
I think that anytime you take just 4 bars of something, it causes a humanization or loses its humanization. However, I just read this the other day. My wife was asking me, "What is this? What is this song? Who sang this song?" It was "Staying Alive." I'm like, "Oh, I think that's the Bee Gees." And I go and I look it up and I find it on Wikipedia and reading all these facts about it. So the drummer died. I don't know if you know this. The drummer died halfway through recording the song. So they took the first 4 measures of what he played, and they just manually kept recording it over and over again to make it the length, like because they couldn't splice it together the way,
right.
So they kept having to play it back and then, re-record it, stitch it all together, and that's why it's such a solid beat in the background. So there is something to be said about having that solidity to a beat. However, I don't think in percussion that's appropriate. I think that in percussion there needs to
that feel.
The feel.
We're the feel thing of that. I mean, percussion of all that's what percussion is. It's just just to take my finger on the side of this glass, it's percussion. And if they sample that, and you'll hear it, but you don't feel it.
Right.
You'll hear somebody tinking on the glass, and it's so precisioned and so right there. You don't feel if he goes. He missed that. Oh, he missed one time. Well, it was just, you can tell it was a human that did that.
Yeah.
And it comes out that way.
Right. I mean, I use a lot of programmed drums, and of course, drum programs come a long way since the Alesis SR16 and those other, which are great drum machines. But now I have all of Abbey Roads in my studio from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like they have different, like all the equipment that they used on it is emulated, and you can adjust their compressors from that year. And it's so detailed, it's amazing. And with the SR16, you used to have to program in every little randomness you wanted. So you would have to go in there and adjust it to be a little bit off to make it feel human. And you can only do so much with that. Now they have it so that it's actually generated in where you can get more random, more velocity layering. So it goes, like you can randomize the velocity layer. You can randomize the where the actual beat, where it is on the beat. So it does give that human feel now. Right. And you have that human feel. At the same time, when it comes down to the percussion parts and the quick, fills and that kind of stuff, still sounds computer generated.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't have done Market Walk with anything other than our hands and what we felt as we were playing. All of Market Walk and Return from Market was all done off the top of our heads as we were playing. So there's no cut. Can you go back and pick it? No, we're not picking anything up.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is. That's why you heard the different variations and the slow downs and the stops. And it's like, okay, we're tired of that rhythm. Let's find something. Okay, here we go. I think we got it. Let's go. And we were off somewhere else. That's why I said it took us 20-something minutes, 22 minutes when we did the first thing, because we kept just going from one thing and we felt, okay, let's go there. Let's slow down. Okay, let's speed it back up. Okay, it's time to speed it back up again. From the group Rufus, Chaka Khan and Rufus, Bobby Watson was playing bass on that track. Had no knowledge of what he was doing, and I said, just play doom 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 doom. I told him that, but when he finished, he played whatever, and it's like, okay, it's not really what I said, but okay, it worked.
It worked, yeah.
Roll with that, because some parts he was in, and I'm playing, and I look over, I'm like, in my mind, he's supposed to be playing. Okay, well, he's not, so just let's keep the track rolling.
Right. It was just let it go. Let it see what happens.
See what happens.
You know, that's the key around this place. We always just kind of let things roll and see what happens. I want to play. Gosh, what do you want? What do you want to play next?
Let pick it up to the temple of East of Egypt.
Okay.
It's a story behind that, which is weird.
Why don't you tell that story?
I had in mind of just some chords on the keyboard, some chords, and then some slamming percussion, like a pot on the stove, and you turn the fire up, and the percussion is simmering the pot of whatever's in there, and then just the blaring guitars running across the top of it. That's kind of, and we'll take it from there. So that was the go in on paper thought. And my guitar player had this box. I don't even know what it was. It just had sounds in it. I mean, not a box, but it is one of the controls.
Yeah.
And he's going through sounds, trying to get a nice, crisp Carlos Santana-ish type lead sound. And he hits a sitar. I was like, whoa, what was that? From that point on, the whole song changed. We didn't even do what I even went in there with. I sit and wrote East of Egypt just right there.
That's so awesome.
Mentally, the line, play this line. And it's only two people playing on this whole track. I'm playing all of the percussion, drums, percussion, and all. He's playing all of the guitar and sounds. But it's all, the sounds are coming from his board, but he's playing them all on guitar.
Right.
And he's playing the live sax that's in there. So, but other than that, it was just both of us, and it's like, but it all went from just hearing, and that's back to the statement. I listen to so much music. Many, the Bollywood, Ravi Shankar, and all those guys sound. I'm intrigued, of course, at the percussion and all. Percussion is in every ethnic form of music. I mean, every Persian, Armenian, German, Chinese, the taiko drums, all, it's in every form. Excuse me. It's just, as I sit and watch and look at them, they're not playing 2 and 4, but boy, they're playing. It's something they feel.
Right.
And, so, and that's what made it a little weird, because I didn't have tablas like I wanted. So, okay, let's take real human feel and thought, and let's blend it, bring it up to technology. When they got through, the guy had tweaked me to my bongos sounded like tablas. It gave me the tabla effect that I wanted. And I was like, okay, I'll live with that. I'll take a little science in on a little technology to give me what I wanted. But it was just the fact he hit the sitar, and when he did, I was like, oh, I like that. I closed my eyes, and next thing you know, here comes East of Egypt. And it was originally titled East of Egypt, West of Compton.
All right, here it is, East of Egypt by Victor R. Orlando. Whoops, grabbed the wrong phone. There we go. Let's check it out. That is incredible. And that's not a tabla. That's just a conga.
And that's bongos. And
Bongos?
The last thing was the moaning bell. You hit it and you roll your finger, the stick around the bell of it. It's one of those Middle Eastern.
Oh, singing bowls?
Exactly.
Singing bowls.
That was the last teen thing, but the rest of it was bongos on top, kind of tweaked as tablas, and then the rest was percussion.
That's amazing.
And we just roll with all of it.
That's amazing.
And there was only 2 people on that track, on that whole track. But it was a fun track.
Well, there's got to be more than 2 people because there was the girl singing.
Well, that was it wasn't a person. That was something he found somewhere.
No.
That was something he found.
Oh, that sounded cool. I mean, I don't know any other way.
Like
to
out of
say
a
it.
war zone, and the women in the corner, someone was,
Yeah. Very cool.
He just threw it in there.
That's very cool. I love it. So you're more than a musician. I read that you are in the entertainment industry, and you're a director, writer. You've written some. Tell us about what you're doing. You're an actor also. You've been in some films and.
Yeah. Well, that Lifetime Achievement Award in percussion was great. It showed somebody giving me something for percussion, but I have done and do a lot other. I do music, TV, movies. I'm an actor, comedian. There's TV shows that I've been on through the 70s African American sitcoms. I was a lot of extra work on that, a lot of principal extra work. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Martin, Different World, shows like that was daily staples of coming home and watching.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I pop up on some of them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I had friends in that business that would hook me up, and then Central Casting would call me for certain things. Mainly, a lot of the being on those shows for me was to watch the writing, watch the director. Never knew I was going to need it in my back pocket later for my things. So that's all I did, watched everybody. And because nobody knew me, so I wasn't about to get a script to do Denzel Washington stuff.
Right.
So I just sit and watched and looked, okay, that's what he's doing. Okay, oh, that's how they write that. Okay, that's how they move from scene to scene, blah, blah, blah. Watching all that and getting picked up. And then had friends in there, well, wait, I'm going to put you as a principal extra. You get to do stuff right with the actors. You don't have lines, but you're prominent in there. So that was cool. That made me, that's how I ended up with friends. Martin Lawrence is my friend. Will Smith is my friend. These guys, knew me, from music and being on the shows. And then the movies, the same with movies. It's an extensive list of just movies that I've been in. From Cops to, I was in that thing with that Russell boy, Kurt Russell, I think, something Russell. Something L.A. and New York. It was just on the other night too. He had the Moloch. Russell was his last name.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
Kurt Russell.
And the movies he did. It was like a franchise of them.
Huh.
Something to L.A. and then something to New York, or something like that. It was extra work, and then it was cool to be alongside with the. And there's shows that I want to be on. I was like, okay, I will give a left and right arm to be on Married with Children with Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Al Bundy was it for me.
It's a classic show.
And Central Casting hooked me up. I got to be on it twice.
Oh, that's great.
And got to know the guys, and we became friends. And then after the last, when Married with Children went off and Ed O'Neill went on to do Dragnet, I ended up doing Dragnet.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so I went on I did a thing with Dragnet.
So Modern Family next?
No. No, he went in another direction on that one. I'm like, okay, well, you can stay there. I'll take the next generation of comedy for me, which ended up being Big Bang Theory. That's my next.
You were on it, or
no? That's my next. I want to be. Gotta
that's what
be.
you want to be.
Yeah.
I'll be watching for you. I watch that religiously. I love it.
No, I have it on all 3 channels. 2, 13, and 50. whatever TNT is.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever it's on. And my son, 13 years old, we sit and just do Sheldon, Leonard, Kuthapali, and Howard. We just do bits from them all day long in the car when we're together.
My wife doesn't get it, but I love it.
I
love it to
don't
death.
do Two and a Half Men as much that well.
No.
But it's the same writer person, the same.
Really? That's the same
Yeah, it's
writer?
the same
I didn't
people,
know
the
that.
same Laurie.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's okay. But no, Big Bang is, and then it's a smash. I'm into slapstick comedy and crazy comedy. Three Stooges was our growing up staple.
Of course, right?
And then after that, Pee Wee Herman. And Sheldon is nothing but Pee Wee Herman. Well, in between that was Robin Williams.
He's kind of like the Einstein of Pee Wee Herman.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. But in between Three Stooges and Pee Wee was Robin Williams. Mark for Mark. So he's always been. And then of course Richard Pryor has been the it all the way through all of it.
Oh yeah, Richard Pryor is
Richard Pryor.
Oh, I remember going to the library and getting old Richard Pryor records and listening to them there in the library. Just spending the whole day listening to like Richard Pryor and listening to old Robin Williams stuff.
Yeah.
And who else was it? There were Bill Cosby, of course. There was George Carlin. And you could find these for free in a library, in a public library. I lived in Modesto Public Library had them. And they had the little record player there, and you go to the little station, and you could listen to it. And I would spend all day just listening to comedy records. I loved them.
Wow. I grew up not listening to them. My parents did, but we would hear them in the room. And it was just the fact that, I don't know where I picked it up, but I started imitating Bill and Richard.
Yeah.
And they would always come in and have me do stuff without the profanity. And now, 2014, I've written my own Richard Pryor movie.
Really? Tell us about that.
Well, it's not actually Richard Pryor, and it's not actually his movie, his life story type thing, because they already did JoJo Dancer, which I was an extra in. And so that's pretty much kind of like an autobiographical life story of Richard. But no, I've taken one of his characters, and I've kind of expounded and made a movie out of it. And if anybody knows Richard Pryor and the records and the thing, they would know Mudbone. You say Mudbone was a favorite character on the Richard Pryor album. This old Southern boy, didn't do too much. Sat on the porch and spat. That's all he did. He spat. Had his friend Tupelo, and he's down from Tupelo. Had his friend what's that boy named? Big old robot boy. And his other friend was Miss Rudolph, and she had them 3 monkeys. And they only had 1 foot. 3 monkeys with 1 foot. So it was a thought and a speculation of me doing that. I wrote it down and put it in storage. I submitted it to 20th Century at one time and got nothing, so I put it in storage. And then they put out Fat Albert. With Keenan from Keenan and Kel from the Cartoon Network series, and the story was they were Fat Albert the cartoon, and these little girls would watch him in real life, and she said on the couch, said, I got some problems, and Fat Albert looked through the screen, said, I solve problems, and the little girls looked at the screen, said, how does he know what we're talking about? And he's poked his head through the screen. Hey, I'm Fat Albert. I solve problems. You have a problem? And she pulled him through the screen, so he went from a cartoon character to a human. And that's what Fat Albert would have looked like, Keenan, when he came out. And that the rest of the story went on. And then they finally put him back in the TV so that he could stay the cartoon character and not die. So I was like, okay, let me take Mudbone off the record, since nobody's never seen him. They've only heard Mudbone, so I'ma now let them see what he look like. See, so that's kind of, I kept developing. I'm like, okay, this is where we going with this. So I wrote a script. Actually, we're in the process of getting a screenplay person to screenplay it up, and then get some of my A-list friends, just like my CD friends, that, hey, come on board, hop on, let's do this. And see where I go with that.
It sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna be.
Like so
as they say in the hood, it's gonna be a hoot.
It's gonna be a hoot. I can't do it like you did. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, that's hysterical. So you're also doing comedy. You've been doing stand-up shows.
No, actually, I am not a comedian, and I'm not a stand-up guy, and I'm actually afraid to do stand-up in front of people. It's like what?
But you've played on a lot of comedies.
Yeah, I've been on a lot of comedies. I've been to comedy things and people, and I do MC. I'll get up, but the thing is, I don't have a bootload of material. Mm-hmm. I can sit up and talk about people and things in a mudbone style and fashion until the material run out, and I'll say that. I say, well, that's it. I ain't got nothing else to say. I ain't got no material, and I done talked about everybody in the room, so I guess I might as well get off the stage. And that'd be pretty much all I have. I don't have like hey, I was coming into L.A. today and I saw some people. I don't have that because I wasn't coming into L.A. today. I lived here.
Right.
But I mean, the stuff that made Richard and a bunch of other comedians awesome and great, they didn't have to have material. They could say, I was just walking to Food for Less, and these 3 people came in and go off on a tangent on those people. And that would be a routine.
Right.
Real life situation. So I'm taking mine not to the stage, but to the pen, and then I'll let it manifest itself on stage and see what happens in this movie.
Right.
Yeah. But that's in the works, as they say.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know if I could be a stand-up comedian either. I have one of the hosts here, Brian Crow, has a show called Eat Crow, and it's on Thursday nights. And he's a comedian. He's a stand-up, and he goes out there and he does it. I don't know how he does it. Everything. It's grueling.
It's grueling.
I mean, because you never know what you're going to get. You just hope for a couple of people in the audience that'll laugh
snicker.
loud enough
to
cover the fact that nobody is laughing.
I always say, because I do well, see, it's weird. I don't do stand-up, but whenever I'm around people, I do stuff, just like I just did it with you and you laughed. Okay, multiply that. I go in the next room, I do it with the other guy. I go down the street to the store, I do it. But don't set me up in a place to be set up not to have anybody laugh.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm just going to bring my own laugh entourage. And if I've done everything in front of them and they've laughed, at least I'll do the same thing again, and at least they'll be laughing. And maybe the others will look around and catch on. But it's hard, yeah.
You got to bring about 10 or 15 people to seed your audience that are just like, you're just like, dude, just laugh no matter what. Every punchline, you just laugh.
Yeah.
All right, no matter what, no matter how bad it is.
I'm giving you $15 in a meal. You better laugh. That's all I need. Just laugh.
No, but I mean, I think a lot of times it is like that. I mean, Brian's always trying to get his friends to come there, because if he doesn't get his friends to come there,
they don't get booked again. And the whole
and it's a matter of, nobody's going to laugh at him.
Yeah.
Then he's going to stand out like a sore thumb. And it is a matter. That's why they have people come out and warm up audiences.
Exactly.
Get
them ready for whatever's coming up next.
Yeah, because you never know what the mood of the audience is. Maybe everybody stood outside too long, and the whole audience is pissed off. It has nothing to do with you. You come up there with grade A stuff, and
they're pissed, and they don't. Yeah, I've seen that. But it's fun to do. I mean, like I said, I do it around. I was at a play where they do these gospel plays, but I just went to see it because I had friends in the band, and hey, oh man, y'all sound good. The play was good. Hey man, why don't you bring your congas down tomorrow? And play was like a 3-week run. Bring your congas down, just sit in and play. I said, oh, okay, no problem. Come and sit in. So I set my stuff up in the pit and played along and stuff, and didn't know that the producer was watching. I'm playing. Okay, cool. He can play. He's playing. No problem. And then, but after the show at night, while we're packing up, I'm like, man, I'm cracking people up, doing Richard and cracking people up. One day, dude came and dropped the script in my lap. Say you're doing Sweet Willie. There's a segment of a men scene that has all the men go over and they're just sitting around jaw-jacking and talking and laughing. But they already have somebody. You're understudying the guy that's doing this part. But you're understudying this guy that's doing Sweet Willie. Learn his lines. You're doing Sweet Willie. Like, what? I heard you do Pryor. You doing Sweet Willie. And by the way, you're doing it Sunday on the matinee. Oh, now I got a time limit to learn this stuff. But it was so great because during the first part of the show, because that was after the intermission, during the first part of the show, I'm in the pit. And then at intermission, I sneak out of the pit. Or when we go back up, we play a couple of songs, and I sneak out of the pit in the dark and go and get my Sweet Willie outfit. And now I'm a part of the cast.
Oh, how fun.
So we, that went on the road, and I was doing double thing, music and the comedy, which was really cool.
That is
which
cool.
It didn't matter. I wasn't standing in front of somebody having to make them laugh. This was all a part of a script and part of what was going on.
That's totally different. Yeah,
Totally different.
When it's all scripted out and you're part of an interaction, a part of a bigger thing. It's
I did
totally
one
funny.
minimum semi stand-up thing, but what I did, I wrote topics down that I wanted to talk about, which I can work on. It's just like Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters. I love Jonathan. He could sit in the studio and, hey, you got a glass here? And he would do 30 minutes on just this glass with a handle. Or he'd pick up the phone. Oh, it's an iPhone. Just stupid stuff. And so I wrote my little titles down of just some things I want to talk about. So I got out there and I said a few things, and like I said,
right.
Oh, snap. I got just barely a murmur. I'd say the next one. Okay, so I go back into my pocket. Okay, so what's next on my list? And I do that. And put it back in my pocket, and I do something. I say, okay, let me see what's next on my list. I said, so the joke is me going in my pocket pulling this list out.
You got the joke.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'll find my laughter in pulling this list out of my pocket.
Right.
I was like, okay, it's a technique to this.
Yeah.
So I found that they were laughing more about me pulling this list out and reading off of that. So I'm like, okay. But it's a scary animal if you don't do it, professionally and every night.
I have a friend that I do another show with. Her name is Laura. She does Laura Says, and we used to do a show called Late Night with Laura. And especially on Late Night with Laura, we had this thing. We would have a gag every show, and it was always a very subtle gag, and would often look like a mistake. But we would do it until by the end of the show, people would catch on. And one of them was I decided to eat a piece of pizza during the show, one slice for the whole show. So literally taking bites like this, just biting the very, going to take huge bites and then biting just the very top of it. And that became, a running joke. And when we go back and we look at it, it's hysterical, but to sit there and go, when I explain it to Laura, I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat a piece of pizza through the whole show.
Through the whole show, right.
And it's like not going to disappear. I mean, by the end of the show, I'm still going to have like over half this pizza. and she's just kind of like, okay.
Right.
But like that was the gag, and it worked. And, she has this new show called Laura Says. We decided for the first part of the show, like all we would do is she wouldn't talk, and I would start to talk and then point to her like, oh, I'm waiting for you. And we did that for like the first 15 minutes of the show.
Wow. Yeah. You pick up on what works.
Yeah, and after years of doing it, it was like we used to make mistakes, and we used to do that stuff on mistake. And then now we realized what's funny when we watch it back, and now we're starting to add it into the show and make it.
Oh yeah.
Now it's a gag.
Right.
This is a gag, or this would be funny if this happened consistently. And anything that you do that is out of the norm, okay? So it's just, oh, I didn't expect that. And people kind of they might giggle a little bit. And then when you compound that again and again, you keep coming back and you keep hitting it, then it becomes hysterical for some reason. I have no clue why.
It grows its own legs.
Yes.
It becomes a beast.
Right. I mean, it's just like I would introduce songs on my show, my very first show, Jay and Lou's Super Show. I would introduce songs. This is so and so by another song. Check it out. And did it so many times that now I can't go to a song without saying check it out, because people would go, wait, what are we supposed to do? He didn't tell us to check it out. But it's no matter what it is, as long as you keep doing it, consistency,
it'll grow.
It'll grow on people,
Yeah.
and it'll stick. Your stuff definitely sticks with me. I don't think we've listened to Serengeti.
Yeah.
So let's check that tune out.
Check it out.
And we'll be right back with more from Victor Orlando. This is Serengeti. Check it out. Serengeti.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. What inspired you to write that track?
Well,
When's that coming out?
another percussion-y type track interwoven into a jazz type track. And I call that an African jazz, as opposed to Latin jazz, because of the influence of the sound and the different things. And of course, with my eccentric creativity and creatability, I'm like, I want some elephants in this song. I want the whole ambiance. So mentally, I close my eyes and I'm like, I want a ship of people taking a ride down the Serengeti in the deepest, darkest part of West Africa. And on the side of the river, you see all these animals and the birds flying through, just as you would have seen in a Tarzan picture back in the day.
Right.
You see the birds flying off and the elephants going through the thing with the big and then all of that. So they put that in there, but when I did it, I had a zoo. I had a zoo. Producer looked at me like, really, Vic? Really? You want that many animals on your track? The people want to hear the track. They don't want to hear the... So we compromised, and we're going to take half of your zoo out. So that's why I have it a little at the beginning, some in the middle, and at the end. But my original version, I had animals clobbing through that whole thing.
Sometimes it's good to have somebody else in on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Another ear to kind of go, let's pull it back this way.
yeah. That's one of those times where, let's put it back. It's okay. I understand where you're going, but let's just lose a few of the animals. Okay, on take 3, we're losing 50 of the elephants, please. So we did it, and it still kept the flavor, made the ambiance, and that was Serengeti. Manyunga Jackson, good friend of mine from back in the day, Stevie Wonder's percussion player, is playing on that. It's, to not even to prove it, but just not even to show it, but just I'm not egotistical about, I got to play all the percussion. No, I don't.
Right.
I pulled in guys from Mandrill. I pulled in other drummers. I pulled in other people. Manyunga plays African drum awesome. I play African drum too, but I wanted to use somebody else's flavor.
Right.
So I had him come in and play talking drum on that. And he brought in the African xylophone, which is called a balophone. And that's after you hear in the beginning of the song, the guitar has the line doom doom, and then he comes back answering the line gloom 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 gloom. That's the African balophone, which is gored out empty shells laid across a plate of wood, toned wood, and tied down with rope, and you play on them. The smaller the shell, the higher the notes. It's not the slats that makes the sound. It's the vibration going through the sizes of the gourd. Bigger the gourd in the hole, the deeper the sound.
Right.
It's
Makes
basically
sense.
just like a xylophone. If you look at a real xylophone, you'll see a little lyrica type thing at the bottom of it. The tubes at the bottom, longer and shorter. Mm-hmm. The longer ones give you the sound, and the shorter ones give you the high notes. And but by his being nothing to do, it was basically handmade. So it had another whole feel and sound to it.
Rock news.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Rock News. It's Wednesday, May 14th. Today's headlines. An online video to show what it might sound like if Zakk Wylde were to join Pantera. Bruce Springsteen to receive his own online museum. And bats bite back at Ozzy Osbourne. People have been talking about the possibility of a Pantera reunion with Zakk Wylde standing in for Dimebag pretty much since Dime's death, almost 10 years ago. Given the band's incredible legacy, it will probably never happen, but you can get some sense of how it might sound via the fan-filmed video on YouTube of singer Phil Anselmo performing the Pantera classic I'm Broken with Wylde's Black Label Society in Worcester, Massachusetts last night. On to underground news. Wayne William is a solo artist from Malta who earlier this year released his entirely self-proclaimed album, The Parade. In addition to putting together the record, he has launched his own studio and worked with other artists to record their own material. Now let's listen to Don't Fade Away, the first single taken from the album, The Parade by Wayne William.
Standing on the other side, can you show me how you run away? sighs, can you tell me how you like it? Wise old man in the corner started crying as the boys play with their guns. Will the chapel door be open Sunday morning? Will the bells be ringing? Will the people be singing? And will you hold my hand until it's over?
That was Don't Fade Away by Wayne William. Let's move on now with more mainstream news. An online museum of Bruce Springsteen's memorabilia is set to launch in June to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the singer's record, Born in the USA. BlindedByTheLight.com will feature over 300 objects ranging from concert posters to handwritten lyrics, with more items to be added in the future. The online museum will offer contest prizes every 6 months, with website creator Michael Crane offering signed album artwork as the prize for the first contest, reports Rolling Stone. On to submission news. Submit your songs for the Premier Professional Song Competition, sponsored by the Songwriters Hall of Fame and Universal Music Publishing Group, along with exclusive contest partners Sonic Bids and Epic Phone. Entries will be screened by a listening committee, including legendary songwriters, producers and publishers, who will select the finalists. Competition deadline is set for June 30th. On to concerts happening today, May 14th. Kasabian at Cork Opera House in Cork, Ireland. Espalda Maceta at Helio Gabel in Barcelona, Spain. Pop Evil at Varsity Theatre in Minneapolis, USA. Foundation at the Cambridge Hotel in New South Wales, Australia. And Slash at Itu Stadium in Istanbul, Turkey. Ozzy Osbourne has been bitten by bats after their presence in his countryside barn led to council bosses refusing his application to convert it into a home. The Black Sabbath frontman, who famously bit the head off a bat while on stage in 1982, applied for permission to turn a building on his Buckinghamshire property into a 2-bedroom house. But Chiltern District Council refused, saying that there was evidence that bats, a protected species in the UK, live in the barn's rafters. Back to underground news. Toronto-based singer-songwriter Patrick Blantyne is set to release his second album, Days of Rain, on June 3, 2014. Days of Rain channels Motown, the Beatles, Pink Floyd and classic singer-songwriter influences, while lyrically the themes of loss and renewal make clear that Blantyne is channeling soul music. The first single, Wrestling with the Devil, will be available on iTunes and Google Play on May 20th. Now for birthday news, a happy birthday to David Byrne, frontman and leader of iconic Talking Heads, who today, Wednesday, May 14th, turned 62 years old. That's it for Rock News. More news and information on rock/news/blog.com. Join us tomorrow for some more Rock News.
Rock News. Rock News.